Welcome to IPL Deep Dive, the podcast that brings you expert analysis, thrilling match highlights, and all the drama of IPL 2025. Whether you're a diehard fan or just catching the cricket fever, we've got you covered with in-depth insights and engaging discussions. Get ready to explore the heart of the action with your hosts, Mike and Michelle, as they dive into today's match analysis. It's time to step onto the pitch and join the conversation.
Okay, so you're here because, let's be honest, you want to understand the core of what happened, the things that really matter in sports, right? You want to know the essentials and get straight to it without getting stuck with endless commentary. Well, this is your express lane. Think of it like a deep dive today into the Gujarat Titans versus Sunrisers Hyderabad IPL match.
Yeah, exactly. No need to wade through hours of analysis. We have done the hard work for you, pulling together those post-match insights from CricBuzz Live, ESPN Cricinfo, and of course we've got the official IPL T20 website's squad lists for both teams.
So today's mission, and I think this is where it gets really interesting, is to look closely at the key takeaways from this game, but specifically through the lens of the current players, the actual squads each team has right now. It's not just about who won, but how did they win with who they have, and what does that tell us about where each team might be heading, especially Sunrisers after another loss?
All right, let's jump right in with the Gujarat Titans. What really struck you about that 7-wicket victory in Hyderabad? Because it felt very comprehensive, right?
It did, didn't it? I mean, 20 balls to spare, that's a statement, especially on their opponent's home turf. The commentators were even throwing around phrases like walk in the park, making it sound almost too easy.
Well, it does make you wonder what clicked so well for them with this specific group of players. And I think a big part of that has to be Shubman Gill, anchoring that chase as captain. The analysts were praising his very responsible innings, stayed till the very end.
Yeah, I wasn't just hitting from ball one, though, was it?
No, not at all. He actually struggled to score initially, but then he adapted. To see him guide them home like that really highlights how important it is to have a captain who can pace an innings, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you've got other players who can inject some real momentum at different stages.
Speaking of injecting momentum, I mean, did you see Washington's Sundar at number 4? Talk about a revelation. 49 runs off just 29 balls. That's game-changing stuff right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A counterattacking knock like that, 2 4s, 2 6s, all in one over. That 6th over just completely disrupted SRH's bowling plans. What I found really interesting was the commentators mentioning it was a bit of a surprise seeing him bat that high up the order.
So it was a bit of a gamble then?
Maybe,
yeah.
But it certainly paid off, and I think it speaks to the kind of strategic thinking GT's coaching staff has. They clearly see potential in Sundar that maybe other franchises didn't fully utilize, and the fact that he's a left-hander adds another dimension to their batting lineup that makes it all less predictable.
And then to top it off, you've got Rutherford coming in, blasting a quick 35 off just 16 balls. It feels like GT has some serious batting depth right now.
Oh, absolutely. Rutherford coming in and hitting like that really underlined that depth. There was even 1-6 that apparently took Gill by surprise, so even he didn't see it coming. It means that even if the top order doesn't fire, they have players in the middle who can change the game in a flash.
It really does add a layer of unpredictability, doesn't it? Opposing teams can't just focus on taking out the top order and think they're done.
Exactly. And I think that's a big part of why they're doing so well this season.
Okay, so we talked about the batting, but let's flip it over to Hyderabad's perspective. 152 for 8, not a great score. What was it about GT's bowling with their current personnel that kept them so quiet?
The analysts were highlighting a disciplined bowling effort as the key factor. Almost every bowler, apart from Ishant Sharma, was described as outstanding. It seems they really executed their plans well and kept the pressure on throughout the innings.
So it was more of a collective effort then?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't have one bowler who stood out as taking a bunch of wickets, but they were all consistently good. And I think that made it really difficult for Hyderabad to build any sort of momentum.
Okay, so if we kind of zoom out and look at the Gujarat Titans with their current squad, it seems like they've found a pretty good balance, haven't they? They're strong in all departments.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. They're not reliant on 1 or 2 star players to carry them. They've got match winners throughout the lineup, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. That second position on the points table is well-deserved.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about the Sunrisers. 4 consecutive losses, 2 of those at home. That has to be a huge concern for them. What's going wrong with their current squad?
It's definitely worrying, especially considering they were considered to have one of the strongest batting lineups coming into the season. Something's not clicking, and the pressure is mounting.
It is a big concern, especially those losses at home. Home advantage should count for something, right? And their batting hasn't been firing like everyone expected.
Yeah, that's been a major issue. Their current group of batsmen just haven't been able to put together consistent scores. They've got big names, but the runs just aren't flowing. The analysts are pointing to a few different things. Could be tactical, maybe the pressure's getting to them, or maybe they're just not playing the right roles.
The commentators also talked about an over-reliance on their top bowlers.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment given their current bowling attack?
It seems to be the case. There's a feeling that they're relying too heavily on their best bowlers to get them out of trouble. And when that doesn't happen, the rest of the attack looks a bit toothless. They need more contributions from the other bowlers in their current squad.
It sounds like it was a similar story in this match. Cummins got a couple of early wickets, but then things kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
Simranjit Singh, Jaidev Unadkat, even Abhishek Sharma and Kamindu Mendes, they didn't really make an impact.
Yeah, that's the problem. After those early wickets, the other bowlers couldn't maintain the pressure. They weren't taking wickets and they were leaking runs. Mendes only bowled 1 over, which says a lot. It feels like they're lacking confidence in options.
And then there were those tactical decisions that raised a few eyebrows. Bowling short to Washington's Sundar, for example. Not sure that was the best approach.
Yeah, that was a strange one. It felt like they played right into his hands. It makes you wonder about their adaptability. Are they reacting to what's happening in the game, or are they just sticking to a predetermined plan?
And it's not just the on-field stuff, is it? It sounds like the atmosphere in the SRH camp is getting pretty tense.
The commentators mentioned a lack of smiles in the dugout, some visible tension. Yeah, that kind of negative energy can be really contagious. It's not what you want when you're trying to turn things around.
And to make matters worse, their net run rate has taken a big hit. How much of a problem is that for their playoff hopes?
It's a huge problem. Minus 1.6 is a really difficult hole to climb out of. They need to win most of their remaining games, and they need to win them big. It's a massive uphill battle.
Another thing the analyst highlighted was their lack of wicket-taking in the middle overs, particularly compared to GT spinners.
Yeah, that's a major weakness. Those middle overs are so crucial in T20 cricket. If you can't take wickets during that phase, you're giving the opposition a chance to build a big score. GT spinners were really effective, but SRH just didn't have an answer.
And it's not just the bowling that's letting them down. Some of their key batsmen haven't been converting their starts into big scores. Travis Head and Heinrich Klaassen come to mind.
Absolutely. They're getting starts, which is good, but they're not going on to make those match-winning contributions. Klaassen in particular, his dismissal was apparently a planned one by GT. They figured out how to get him out, and that shows you the level they're playing at.
The fact that someone like Adam Zampa isn't even getting a game is strange, too. It's almost like they're not playing their best team.
It's a head-scratcher for sure. Zampa's a quality spinner. You'd think he'd be a valuable asset, especially given their struggles in the middle overs. It raises questions about their selection process.
Pat Cummins at least showed some fight with the bat towards the end.
Yeah, he did. 22 off 9 balls, that's a handy little cameo.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it wasn't enough to make a difference.
Okay, so to wrap things up for you, the listener, it's pretty clear that Gujarat Titans are firing on all cylinders with their current squad. They're a well-rounded team, they're playing smart cricket, and they're getting contributions from everyone.
Sunrisers, on the other hand, well, they've got some serious work to do. They're struggling in all departments, and the pressure is on. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond.
So this deep dive has given you a clear understanding of the match, why GT won so convincingly, and where both teams stand right now, especially in terms of how their current squads are performing.
It really has. It's fascinating to see how the individual strengths and weaknesses within each squad can have such a big impact on the outcome of a match. Now, for a final thought. Imagine you're the coach of Sunrisers Hyderabad. What's the one change you would make to their lineup or strategy for the next game that could have the biggest impact? And what does GT's dominance tell us about how crucial team balance and tactical execution are in the IPL? Keep those questions in mind as you watch the tournament unfold.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive to unpack more of the biggest stories in sports. Until then, thanks for joining us.
See you next time.